So if I just had to ask you, what is debt recycling? I know you've written a blog on it, so you might have a useful answer for me here. Like, what is it and how does it work?
I suppose it is a little bit confusing, the term in itself, isn't it? I actually practiced a little bit of debt recycling before I actually heard of what the term was. So I knew roughly what to do to make my loan sort of tax efficient, but I didn't know what the term was until a little bit later, which is maybe an interesting side note. But if I was just to explain it as simply as possible, it's essentially the act or the aim of trying to convert your non-deductible home loan into a tax-deductible investment loan. And so that sounds pretty good. I'm sure there's most people listening who have a home loan who like the sound of that idea. So in essence, what it involves is essentially taking some money that you are going to invest, and instead of investing that money immediately, you essentially cycle that money through your home loan first. And we'll explain in detail soon how exactly you do that. But generally, that's the process, right? And then you re-borrow that money from your home loan, redraw it, however you'd like to speak about it. And then you invest that money into income producing assets. So that could be shares, but it could also be a property as well. It doesn't have to be shares, even though it's most commonly spoke about with regards to share investing. And so when you do this, you pay down the loan, you take a chunk out, and then you invest that money. That portion of the loan then becomes tax deductible. And so when you do that, that actually saves you tax on your investment returns, on the tax you would have had to pay on the income that you're earning from those investments. And then as you do that, you can also pay off your home loan faster because you can use the investment income that you're earning plus your ongoing savings and your tax savings to actually pay off your non-deductible home loan faster and then re-borrow that money out and invest it. And so that kind of speeds up the process. And so that's just a very basic overview of how I think about it and how it sort of works. But I guess we should. So if I was just to flesh out a simple example how it works on like a practical level, step by step. So let's take an example where you have a $600,000 property and a $400,000 loan. And we'll also assume that you've been saving for a while and you've got $100,000 in an offset account. So at this point, you can ask your lender to split your home loan into two so that you have a $300,000 loan and a $100,000 loan. So your debt's the same. You would take your $100,000 savings that's sitting in your offset and you can pay down the $100,000 loan. Then you can redraw that money and send it to your brokerage account to buy some shares, assuming that that's your strategy rather than property investing. So after you buy these shares, the interest on the $100,000 loan will now be tax deductible against your dividend income that you'll be earning from those shares. And so that's a key criteria actually that's worth mentioning. You have to invest in an asset that is producing what the tax office called assessable income. So you can't invest in a non-income producing asset and still claim tax deductions. That's not allowed. So it has to be any sort of investment that's producing some sort of income. So most ETFs and shares will meet that criteria, no problem. So that's worth mentioning. So hopefully that makes sense in practice of how you would step by step go about it. And so then as you get your dividends and as you save money and as you pay less tax, which we can explain a bit more in a minute how you actually save tax, then you can pay off your home loan a bit faster and kind of do another chunk of that thing and speed up the process like that. But it's also probably worth mentioning that sometimes when you pay down the loan to zero, like this $100,000 loan that I'm talking about, the bank will actually close off that loan facility if you've paid it off. So it's worth talking to them and asking them the question, like, if I pay down this loan to zero, will you close the loan account or will you leave it open? A lot of banks will leave it open, but it's worth checking whether that's the case. And even if it is the case, you can just pay down the loan balance to essentially $1. And so that'll ensure that the account stays open and that you're able to redraw from it.